Hey guys, welcome back to Catching Up with Kat. I'm your host, Catherine Michelle, and a 2026 bride, which is why we talk all things wedding on this podcast. But today's episode is going to be a recap of our trip to the south of France last week, where we did the venue tour, the food tasting. My mom met my fiance's family for the first time, and all of that really exciting stuff. This episode is really just for me to always remember this weekend in my life because it was honestly the best 4 days ever and a moment in my life I hope I never ever forget, and that will always mean so much to me. I mean, planning a wedding and getting married is such a special time in your life, but to get to do that and plan it with your mom and have these memories together, especially because I live in London and my mom lives in New York, so we don't get to do a lot of things in person together. This was just such a pinch me moment. It was so special. So I'm excited to put all of this on record so I can look back on it one day and also share it with you guys, because a lot of you guys have been following along and listening, and I'm just really grateful. So I figured we'll start at the top on Wednesday and we'll work through Sunday, and I'll tell you guys what happened and remind myself what happened and remind myself in the future what happened so I never forget this weekend. So my mom flew into Nice from JFK with a little layover in Paris, and she arrived Wednesday morning early. And she went straight from the airport to the Airbnb, and I landed at around 1 from London, and of course met her at the Airbnb, and then we went out to lunch. We had such an incredible Airbnb in Cannes in the old part of the city. I would highly recommend it. If you're interested, let me know. It was a 3-bedroom apartment with the view of the water. It was just gorgeous. Like, it was decorated beautifully. So then my mom and I went to have our first meal, our lunch, and we sat outside. It was sunny because my mom's been in New York. They've had the coldest winter, I think, like almost ever on record. And we were sitting outside with light jackets in the sunshine, and we had a bottle of rosé and had some seafood, and it was just the best. And I think my mom and I just kept looking at each other across the table, being like, oh my gosh, we're here. This is happening. This is real. And then I started looking around us at everyone at the restaurant, and everybody was fabulous. Like, decked out, fabulous. That like old money vibe. Women in their 70s, 80s, and their furs and their diamonds, and they were all like done up, but like in a classy way, like in like a Wealth Whispers type of way, like not a nouveau riche type of way. I'll put photos here for you guys to see as well. They just were so fabulous. And my mom and I were looking around like, oh, this is such a vibe. So we had lunch, had our bottle of wine, had a little dessert, and then decided to do a walk around of Cannes because neither of us had actually ever been there before. I've been to the south of France, gosh, more times than I can count at this point, but I've never spent time in Cannes. And since that's going to be the hub for our wedding, it was really nice to familiarize myself with Cannes. When I'm in the south of France, I'm usually in Saint-Maxime or in Saint-Tropez, in that area, not in the Nice-Cannes area. Actually, I've never even been to Nice. I've flown into Nice, but never been to the city of Nice. So we walked around the city of Cannes, and it was actually like, I was really relieved that how much I loved it, because you have high-low, which you don't have in Saint-Tropez. So we did like a little shopping. We didn't even shop that much, but I want to say like we did a little shopping trip. We walked down the main road, and there's like a Zara and a Mango and a Noisho and like all of that type of stores. But there's also a Chanel and a Louis Vuitton and a Bulgari and all of that. So it was really nice to have that high and low, which you don't have in Saint-Tropez, you don't have in East Hampton. So that was a highlight for me, at least, because when I go to Saint-Tropez, I'm not usually doing very much shopping. I'm more window shopping. So what did we get? I got a fabulous new hat, like a faux fur black hat. My mom got a couple of cashmere sweaters, a pair of boots. I got a new scarf. I think that's it. That was like really nice. My mom and I just kind of walked hand in hand around the city and tried to understand where everything was. And then we went out to dinner again that night. We went to a restaurant that was not very good, and they were pretty rude and whatever. So I won't disparage them on a podcast, but yeah, that was kind of like the biggest blunder of our entire trip was dinner that night. The next morning, Thursday morning, we woke up and I had my hair and makeup trial that day. Now, I was so excited to do a hair and makeup trial. I've had my hair and makeup done professionally a few times at another friend's wedding, for a couple of photo shoots when I was much younger, but not professionally in maybe the past like 5 years. And where I got to have direction and say this is what I wanted. And I love doing my own hair and makeup. Like I do my makeup every day. If you're watching on video, this is what I look like. And I really like a glowy, dewy, natural look. I don't like to wear a lot of makeup. And so, but I love to learn new tips and tricks. So I was so excited to get my hair and makeup done to hopefully, learn about new products or how they do this or a new technique. And the girls were so nice. It was a duo that came over. They arrived at 10 a.m. We all had like a little bit of breakfast and then they got going. Now the hair and makeup trial took 2 hours and that felt really long. But we had nothing else to do. And I guess that's how long it would take on a wedding day. But when I do my hair and makeup, from the moment I step out of the shower till when I'm like fully glammed, I can do that in about 45 minutes. That includes drying my hair, styling it, all of that. So 2 hours like seemed a little long, but they were working their magic, you know what I mean? So that was really fun. I think there's a bunch of really important things that you should always consider if you're going to do a hair and makeup trial for your wedding. First of all, you absolutely need to do a trial. If you are going to go into your wedding day blind and not having had a hair and makeup trial, I pray for you, because what your vision is, the photos that you show them and how they translate it can be wildly different. And that's kind of what happened for my trial. So I'm so glad that I did a trial. And the second tip I will give you that I saw actually from someone else on TikTok, they told me to wear white for your trial. So wear like a white tank top or a white t-shirt, because you're going to be wearing white on the wedding day. And of course, like your hair and your makeup and your skin's going to look different depending on the color fabric you're wearing. So I wore a white tank top for it, and that was a really good tip. I highly recommend doing that. My last tip is that when you have your reference photos, be really specific about what you like in those reference photos. So whether that's their skin, that's their hair, like all of it. I showed a reference photo of someone's hair half up, half down, kind of like how mine is right now, but like mine's not done really well. I said I really wanted a half up, half down look. I showed her the photo. The photo had no ponytail, and by the end of the trial, I came out with a ponytail. So there's stuff like that you just have to be really specific, and I should have been more specific. I just didn't really know to be, and I wish, in retrospect, I had been really more specific with precisely what I was hoping to happen. But I did look really pretty, and the girls were really nice. But at the end of the day, I actually decided, actually like 2 or 3 days ago, that I would be doing my own hair and makeup for my wedding. It is just something I really enjoy doing, and I really want to look like myself. And I think that also having something to do with my hands that day is going to help my anxiety versus just sitting in a chair and getting glammed. So while they were incredible and I looked so beautiful, I am deciding to do my own hair and makeup for my wedding. So that's been interesting. And if you want to follow along on that saga, you can look at my TikTok, because I'm doing a lot of trials over there and getting people's advice. So if you have any advice for me, head over to my TikTok to let me know your wisdom. So following the hair and makeup trial, my mom and I just had a really chill rest of our day because it was torrentially raining, and my fiance arrived that night. So we went out to dinner and went to bed nice and early, because the next morning we went to our venue tour, which was so cool. Oh my gosh. That was like the first moment in planning this entire wedding that it really like all hit me. And it was just like the most special thing ever. Our venue can accommodate, I think, around 300 people. So I was really nervous that the venue was going to be far too big for our amount of people. Like we're probably going to have around 90 to 100 people, and that's a lot of people, but 300's a lot more. So I was worried that actually the space was going to feel really huge and that we were going to be swallowed by it. And I was so instantly relieved at how cozy the space feels. I actually can't really imagine having 300 people or 200 people in that space. I can't imagine it. But it's so beautiful. And that was actually the first time that I cried during this entire process. Like I didn't cry when we went wedding dress shopping or anything, and seeing the venue and walking with my fiance and my mom and our incredible wedding planner that I could not recommend more. It just all hit me. And the day was so beautiful. I'll put some photos and videos up on the video version if you want to see it. It just tickled me in such a real way. And I was just like, wow, like it's gonna make me cry now. Like, I just feel like really the luckiest girl in the whole wide world. So that was really special. And we also met with our production team, so figuring out the lights and the dance floor and the florals and the linens and the the vases, like all of that, the flowers. So that was so cool to kind of see everything tangibly there and meet the team. Everyone's so nice. We just had genuinely the best time. And what else can I think about from the venue? I guess I'm just really hoping and praying that we have incredible weather because the sun was shining that day that we were there and it was breathtaking. And I can't wait for our guests to come into town and see it because it's just amazing. I can't believe I get to get married there. After the venue tour, my mom, my fiance, myself, and our wedding planner all jumped into a car and we went to go to our food tasting back in Cannes. And that was interesting. So we did a cocktail and food tasting. We were trying out 4 different cocktails, like 12 different canapes, like 2 different types of main courses and starters. It was a lot of food. So when I knew that we were testing 4 different cocktails, but I hadn't anticipated that we'd each get 4 full cocktails to try. I thought he was going to make 4 cocktails and we'd each have straws and taste them. But no. So we each had 4 full cocktails. We decided the 3 that we liked the most. And we also did our wine tasting, so for the red wine and the white wine for dinner and for cocktails and whenever you want wine, that's the wine that we tasted. And we tried all the food. So the canapes were so good. That's like what you have at cocktail hour. But once again, I don't know how people plan destination weddings without going and actually looking at the venue and tasting the food, because there were a lot of tweaks that we made to our food selection, and I would have never had any idea without properly tasting it. Actually, even for the cocktails, if I had told you the cocktails that I thought I would have wanted versus the ones that we've chose, I'm so glad we tasted them because, like, personally, I don't really like smoky drinks. Like, I don't like mezcal and stuff like that. And a couple of the drinks tasted really smoky, and, like, that's not what I want at all. It's also going to be really hot in July, so it doesn't really fit the vibe. Same for the canapes. Like, one of the canapes was pate with chocolate, which honestly sounds really interesting, and was really tasty, but not appropriate. It tasted more like dessert versus a cocktail hour hors d'oeuvre, in my opinion. And I have to keep in mind that that was a French caterer, and about a third of our guests are American, and like pate is a really acquired taste and not something that a lot of people in America like. And that was also like a through line for the rest of the food. So we were trying filet of beef, and the way that the chef would cook it naturally is traditionally for French people, and they like their meat really raw, and Americans like their meat a bit cooked. So like tweaks like that were made, and I'm so glad that we did that because how would we have ever known? So I really think that if you're planning a destination wedding, I know it's a hassle, I know it's extra money, but you really gotta go and try stuff and see everything for yourself and taste everything for yourself so that there's no surprises. Doing this big day of wedding touring and food tasting eased my anxieties so much because I can tell that everything's real. I know the team, they know me, it's going to be incredible. So like that was just the best. Following the tasting, we went back and took a nap because we were exhausted and full and had too many cocktails for a Friday in the middle of the day. And that night, my mom got to meet my future in-laws. And listen, I spend so much time with my fiance's family at this point for the past 3 years. Like, I love them to pieces. So to finally have my mom meet them and them meet my mom was really just like the cherry on top. My mom has spent a lot of time with my fiance's brother. He has actually even come to the Hamptons to stay with my mom and us last summer. So that was always all good, but to have my mom finally meet his parents and vice versa was just like, it just was so nice. And our wedding planner had given us a bottle of champagne. That's the champagne that she was suggesting that we serve at the wedding. So my future in-laws came over to our Airbnb and we popped open a bottle of champagne and we all toasted and cheers and just drank that bottle. And the bottle was really good. And so that was nice. We've officially decided what our wedding champagne will be. And we went out and had a really nice dinner. And of course, there was a little bit of a language barrier. I mean, my future father-in-law speaks English fairly well. My future mother-in-law does speak English pretty well, but like she struggles. She speaks a lot more English than I speak French, and my mom speaks no French. So like I have to give my fiance's family all the credit and all the kudos because the effort that they make is really obvious, and I really, really appreciate it. My mom and I both do. But they really got along, and I really think that regardless of language, people's hearts show through, people's intention shows through, and we just had like a really, really lovely dinner, and it was just everything I could have dreamed of and more. So that night, my fiance went back to his home with his parents, and I stayed back in Cannes with my mom so that we could have a little bit of mother-daughter time, and we had one more day left. So the next day we went and saw the hotel where my mom's going to be staying at when she comes to the south of France, and that was really nice to like orientate ourselves there. The hotel showed us the room that she'll be staying in. It's gorgeous, a great view of the water. And we did some shopping. We went to Rolex and Hermes and did all of that. We didn't buy anything, but it's always a pleasure to window shop. And we really spent the majority of the afternoon back in our Airbnb doing wedding planning stuff, like looking at the budget, looking at the spreadsheets. We were starting to mess around with the seating charts, like doing some of that stuff, just because it's so much easier to do it when we're in person versus finding time to do it over FaceTime, and we're in different time zones. So like that was just such a nice way to spend our day. We were in pajamas and cozied up and just like having mother-daughter time, which is just the best time. I love my mom. And that night we went out for our final dinner to an Italian restaurant, and it was so good. Oh my gosh, I think it was called Ragazzi. If you're ever in Cannes, Ragazzi, I think that's the name, and order the pistachio pesto pasta. It was out of this world. So if you're ever in Cannes and looking for an incredible restaurant, Ragazzi's a highly recommended one from me. And we were having a glass of wine, and I got so emotional. I could not stop crying. They also had a live singer who was singing like Skyfall from James Bond and singing all these like sad songs, and maybe the wine got to my head. But I just got so emotional, and I was sitting across from my mom, and I was like, Mom, it's gonna make me cry right now. I was like, Mom, this is our last meal together before I'm a wife. And it felt like I'm gonna cry. It felt like my whole childhood was like flashing before my eyes, and I'm just so grateful. And I know that being married doesn't change anything, and that I'll always be my mom's little girl, but I'm just really grateful to her. And I can't believe that this like time in my life is here. And I'm so excited for it. It just felt like I was watching my entire childhood flash before my eyes, and it was just a lot. And of course, like I don't get to see my mom that much, so I was sad that the next day she'd be flying back to New York and I'd be going back to London, and that we weren't going to see each other until my civil ceremony in London in May. So it was just like the best. You know, like when you're crying, not because you're sad, just because like you're so grateful and happy. So you're crying and then you start laughing and you're like, and like everyone at the restaurant's like, what? And like, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just American. I've got a lot of emotions. It was a lot, but it was just the best. And I just love her. I love her. I love our time together. It's just the best. So then we went back home, and my mom's flight was at like 6 a.m. the next day, so I didn't see her. Actually, I did see her. I heard her leave at around 2 o'clock in the morning, and I jumped out of bed to give her one last hug and wish her a safe flight home. And so she flew out, and my flight was at like 1 p.m. that day as well. So I went back to London, and that was really the end of our incredible, incredible trip to the south of France. A trip that I'll never, ever, ever, ever forget. And I'm so glad that we did it. I'm so grateful to my mom for taking the time to fly out to do it with me. I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy. So that is the official South of France wedding planning trip recap. And it was the best. And I'm so grateful. So anyways, I apologize that this episode is late, but I hope it was worth it. And I appreciate you all. Love you. Bye.